Kevin Stay from Halo Power. How's it going today, man?
Very good. How are you?
Doing great. So today we wanted to talk about some things that have happened because of all the rain, some disruptions, and some underground cables that have been destroyed as a result of the storm. So why don't you tell us a story?
Yeah, I mean, can you remember a summer like this, rain like we've had?
Nope.
Yeah, this is incredible, and anybody that's dealing with flooding in their home or any type of damage from this is probably saying the same thing. I can't remember it ever being this bad. I live in Edmonton about 25 years now, and nothing like it. So, what we've been responding to this summer is definitely an increase in underground utility cable failures. And what I'm talking about is the underground cable that comes in from either EPCOR or Fortis's transformer pedestal to your home. That cable that comes up and feeds into your electrical meter on the side of the home. And we're getting these calls of saying, hey, I've lost power to half my home, or I've lost power to all my home, or there's weird things happening in the house. And first thing we advise them to do is to contact Fortis or EPCOR, because it's in most cases it is a utility problem, and the hope is that it's actually a problem with the utility company's equipment. But more and more we are now seeing that it is underground cables that are failing, and these aren't cables that are 100 years old. Some of these neighborhoods are only maybe the homes are maybe 10, 15 years old, but we're finding that cable has failed, and it's either a catastrophic failure where the home has no power at all, or they've lost one leg of power and they're finding that a lot of things in the home don't work properly. The stove, the dryer, the air conditioning, and maybe half of the 120 volt circuits are working in their home, and that's part of that failure.
Yeah, and underground is a little bit of a tougher fix. Overhead, you can get the utility company to come out, check their lines, check the connections, and you're good. With underground, it's an ordeal. Maybe you walk us through that.
Well, you're absolutely right, because for starters, that cable is at least 3 feet down. One that we recently repaired was almost 7 feet down. So, I mean, as long as they're minimum 3 feet or deeper, that's what you're going to find. But these cables are ran under concrete sidewalks, driveways, landscaped areas, trees, and whatnot. So you're absolutely right. When it fails, first of all, you don't know where. If the property line distance from your property line to your electrical meter is 100 feet, could be anywhere in that area where that cable's running. So the first step is getting a utility company to try and identify where the damage happened. And they bring their equipment out, and they will what they call thump it until they find where the damage is, and then they'll mark it. And at that point, it is on you as a homeowner to hire a company like us to arrange for an excavation where the damaged area is, and proceed to get the cable either completely replaced from the damaged point back towards your home, or have a splice done where a new section of cable is spliced in with 2 underground splices. So this is what we're running more and more into. And I have to think with this saturation of the ground, and especially in Strathcona County, Sherwood Park, we have such a high water table. There's things happening down in the earth there that things are moving, and these cables are getting, under a lot of strain, stress, whatnot, and things are failing. So the one thing that's been very interesting with this storm season and the underground cable failure, though, is what I've learned about home insurance.
Yeah, that's a lot of people are running into the same thing. And it's almost like every insurance adjuster or insurance person you call is, do you have this and do you have that? So maybe get into that a little bit, because that's what a lot of people are running into.
Well, yeah, and you're exactly right. And it actually, it inspired me to check my own policy, because what I've learned is, you've basically got 2 types of flood coverage. My understanding is either overland flooding or groundwater. And the way it was explained to me from an insurance adjuster that I did speak with earlier this year was that the underground cable that is feeding your home is actually deemed part of your structure, even though it's underground and it goes out of your yard. It's part of the structure. And if the cable fails, you're not automatically covered by insurance. And I guess if you only have overland flood insurance, it sounds like you're out of luck. If you have some coverage for groundwater, well, maybe you got a fighting chance, but you can't immediately assume that because that cable failed and it was during a storm or was after, 2 weeks of steady rain, that insurance is going to cover that. It can be a real heartbreaker for people because these repairs cost a lot of money. The one that we just recently completed, it was almost $8,000 for the customer, and they had actually received quotes well over 10 grand from other companies. But depending where the damage is and what's involved in replacing that cable and the cost of excavation, you could very easily be into it to $10,000. That's a tough pill to swallow when you don't expect it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And really all you're doing is getting the house back to zero, getting it back to power on.
You got it.
You're not doing any improvements, upgrades. You're not, doing any beautification of the home. You're just getting power restored. And, $10,000, $12,000 bill is quite the pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so go ahead.
The kicker with this too is that, us as electricians, it's not like we can get that cable excavated and give our professional opinion or explanation as to what happened, because we really don't know. At the point of when that cable is exposed, and we always get it hydrovac, we find a blown out, molten mess of aluminum cable and copper and a little bit of outer jacket that still remains. It basically looks like a small bomb went off inside this cable. So there's really no way to look at this and definitively say, oh, I can see what happened here. It had a pre-existing damage to the cable. There was maybe some sort of surge. Nothing like that. Anyone, in my opinion, anyone that tells you that they can definitively explain why that cable failed, I don't think that'd be accurate at all. And these are the types of questions that are probably going to come up from your insurance company when you're trying to submit a claim for this. Well, what caused it? And so you're going to go back to your electrician and say, hey, I need to know what happened. And your electrician's going to throw his hands up in the air and say, well, we don't know what happened. It failed. And I don't think you're going to get any kind of definitive answer from the utility company either, because as you mentioned, it's 3-4 feet underground. You can't see what happened. We don't know. We don't know. There's always a scenario where when the cable was first installed, when the home was built, that there may have been some debris in the trench. But by the time you get that cable excavated, any of that debris is going to be gone anyways, because the hydrovac truck sucked it all up. So, there's no smoking gun on these as to why they failed, but it's happening. And it seems to me to be more than a coincidence that we're seeing more failures with this crazy amount of rainfall we've been getting here in the Edmonton area.
Is it in any particular zone or area of Strathcona County, or is it kind of random?
We're seeing it in old neighborhoods and neighborhoods that are, like I say, 10, 15 years old. So not really. Yeah, I mean, there is. I remember in past years we had a couple of failures in a certain neighborhood that it was when I don't know if you recall when the housing boom was going on and they were banging up houses faster than you could imagine. So I mean, we don't know what kind of method was used when that cable was buried. But
yeah, if we recall back at that time, electrical inspections were mostly drive-bys.
They probably were with so many homes being built at that time. yeah, there's only so many resources to go and look at every cable that's in a trench 50 feet long and say, yeah, that looks good. You know, was it backfilled properly with sand? You know, was it at the right depth? Was there rocks and carnage in the trench? We have no idea. Did they backfill it with frozen clay? We don't know. We don't know, right? So, I just want homeowners to know that when the cable fails, it's not going to be an easy claim to pursue with your insurance company because, you know, you're not going to be able to give them a definitive answer as to why it failed. And you're right, because if it was an overhead cable and the tree fell on it, it's a no-brainer. We know what happened. Yeah. We know exactly what happened.
Yeah. So I guess the takeaway is, like, if someone's running into issues and they're seeing some symptoms of something going wrong with their power, what do they do?
Well, at that point, you know, it's pretty tough to assess where the damage is going to be until it happens. So, I mean, definitely give us a call if you're experiencing issues, because we can at least determine whether it's happening on the utility side or something in your home that's causing fluctuations in power or weird things happening. And at least if we can say, you know what, something is going on the utility side from your meter upstream, well, at that point, EPCOR Fortis can be involved. They can check their equipment, make sure that there's no problem with the transformer or a connection that's, you know, they're able to actually assess. But I'll tell you, if it's in that underground cable that's way below your lawn, you don't know until it goes.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that and sharing this with the people in Strathcona County and Edmonton. Stuff that can go wrong and has been going wrong because of the extreme weather. So thanks, Kevin, for that. And I guess we'll see you on the next video.
You bet. Thanks, Trevor.